All right. Hi, Heather.
Hey, Luna.
Thank you so much for doing the interview with me. I'm hoping to know more about you. You have such an incredible story, and I would love for everyone else to hear about it. Can you tell us a little bit about your athletic background?
Yeah, so as a kid, I really didn't engage much at all in anything athletic. I didn't think that I had any athletic ability or natural ability.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really interesting to know about you. I didn't know that.
I know it's so weird when I think about basically my whole adult life. I've been involved in something,
Mm-hmm.
sport, athletic related. And then fast forward, I moved to Oregon and saw all these mountains
And where'd you move from?
from New York.
New York. Okay, big city girl.
Yeah, a little bit outside the city, but
Okay,
spent a ton of time in the city.
gotcha.
So I would consider myself a city girl. And so when I moved out here, and saw these mountains and met all these people that were doing all these really cool things, I was like, I want to do that too. And so when the X Games were happening, which sadly are not happening anymore, they hosted them out here in the gorge one year. And so I was looking at the different activities and I saw that they had a rock climbing class for beginners.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm going to try that. And I did, and I loved it. And then signed up for a basic climbing class. And then for the next almost 20 years, I climbed every chance I could get.
Really? So you started off as a climber. Okay.
So having been so afraid and to really, or just really, not even afraid, just believing I didn't have the capability. When I found something I was passionate about, everything shifted for me, and I wanted more, and I wanted to push myself and challenge myself. And I was very fortunate that I met a lot of people who were really good climbers, and they would take me with them. And so when you're surrounding yourself, and this is so true of powerlifting, when you're surrounding yourself with people that you admire, that you respect, that you see how hard they're working, they're breaking records, they're doing incredible things in the sport, it really motivates me. It's always been a very positive for me to surround myself with people who I like want to be, or I want to chase.
Yeah, so super important. So with all of that said, what led you to powerlifting, and you pursue it so seriously now?
I do. So when I was climbing a lot, I got introduced to a climber / trainer who was really pushing strength training on climbers. And this is still true of a lot of climbers. They're so afraid to put on bulk.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Because you want to be small, or you think you need to be small when you're climbing. And it's not true. Muscle actually makes climbing so much better.
I had that misconception too, actually.
And it's so great for injury prevention as well, because you get a lot of, especially with rock climbing, you get a lot of tendon injuries and things like that.
I imagine.
Shoulder injuries. I had a horrible shoulder injury from climbing, and I couldn't climb for like 4 months because I couldn't raise my arm up. If I had been strength training, I think I could have avoided that. So I took actually a class that was strength training for climbers.
Oh, cool.
From this trainer.
Yeah.
And found that I was really good at it. It just came, finally, something came really naturally to me. And so I started doing CrossFit. And did that for about 5 years. Loved the competitiveness of it. Loved pushing myself. Loved trying to always do better the next time. One more rep, 20 seconds more, that sort of thing. And then at 5 years of doing that consistently, then I was getting injured a lot because it's so repetitive. And nobody's really looking at your form.
Because it's a class, right?
Yeah,
it's usually
it's
classes.
a class setting. And then I got introduced to bodybuilding. And so it was bodybuilding before powerlifting, and I did bodybuilding and competed for about almost 5 years. And I was training at Ironside alongside all these powerlifters.
Yeah.
And everybody was whispering in my ear, when are you going to come to the right side?
Yeah.
When are you going to come to the side where you can eat wherever you want?
Yeah, exactly.
And just watching people and how strong they were getting. And I got strong from bodybuilding.
Of course.
But the restriction on nutrition year after year really started to have an effect on me. Like I didn't know how to eat without somebody telling me how to eat.
Interesting.
And I developed this really weird relationship with food. And I'm very fortunate that I haven't had any sort of like emotional attachment to food or really thought about food other than like I need to eat.
Yeah.
But I started developing this real weirdness around food, and I was like, I don't want to restrict myself so much anymore.
Right.
I want to just go out to dinner with my friends. I want to go to dinner parties and actually eat the food that's being served.
Yeah.
Not bring my little Tupperware of ground chicken and rice.
Totally.
You know? So I did a national level show. That was my goal. I wanted to compete nationally in bodybuilding, and then make the switch to powerlifting. And so I did that. I did in 2020, I did a national show and then switched to powerlifting after that. And it's definitely the sport that I feel the most comfortable, the most confident in, and I'm so passionate about it.
What category did you do for bodybuilding?
Figure. Yeah.
Awesome. So that's the 4 poses, correctly?
4 poses.
Yeah.
It's the X shape.
Yeah. You looked incredible.
Thank you.
Did you ever want to go back and do both?
Funny that you asked that because I did try to do that earlier this year, and it was not a very smart decision because I had surgery on my foot in January, thinking that I could do this competition at the end of April. I could not get my foot into the heels that you need to wear when you're posing. And so practicing posing, I couldn't really do much lower body because 1, I wasn't in my heels, and 2, I couldn't really put pressure on my foot from the surgery. And it made dieting really hard, and I gave it everything I had. But I really needed like 4 to 6 more weeks to get my body stage ready.
Yep.
And I didn't have that time to do that because I was leaving for Italy like the week after
Right.
the competition.
Yeah.
So it was a good attempt, and I don't regret doing it because it got me back on track with eating my protein and making sure I was fueling properly for my workouts.
Yeah.
So I don't regret it. But it did set me back with my weights and powerlifting. So I've had to spend a lot of time rebuilding.
Yeah, and we all go through those setbacks, right? What keeps you going, though, after a setback like that? What keeps you still intrigued with powerlifting, even though you need to start over again at a certain point where you know that you've surpassed it a long time ago? Like, for instance, you'll hit a 250 squat and you're there, but then you have a setback and now you're only at 220. Is it disappointing? How do you get back on the saddle?
There was a period of time when I came back where I was very frustrated, and I was like, why did I decide to do that? And now I'm having to start over again, what it feels like. But then I really thought about it, and I was like, am I really starting over? Because I couldn't squat 220 pounds, not even close when I started powerlifting. And my opener a year ago at Nationals was 225. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's really not as tragic as I'm making it.
Yeah, it's perspective, right?
And my body feels so much better. Like, I needed a break, maybe not that long of a break, but I did need a break. And so I'm healthier than I've been since I started powerlifting, as far as like how my joints feel, how my back feels. And I feel that having to drop my weights to basically rebuild has allowed me to really dial in my form in a way that I've never experienced before. So when I started to see the positives, and when I compete in December, okay, maybe I won't hit the numbers, I'll get close the numbers that I hit last September. Even if I'm within 10 pounds, like that to me is huge, having not powerlifted for 6 months this year.
Yeah. So we talk about this a lot, and every time I introduce Heather, I say she's 50, but she does not look like it. Well, you're 50 plus now. I want to be like her when I grow up. To me, it's so incredible because of what society tells us we're going to be when we get older and as we age, especially hospitals, funnily enough.
Oh, yeah.
I remember you posted this really comical to us post about what hospitals were saying we were going to look like, or what the symptoms we would have as we age, women over 50, and how decrepit we would look. And you showed like a side-by-side of you on stage, you know, full six-pack, you know, delts, beautiful looking, and then this like old lady that society tells us that we're going to look like. And so how do you feel like you're responding to that?
Well, it makes me mad. And I'm motivated by anger.
Nice.
I don't know if that's healthy, but I feel that I have a gift that my whole life I have always strayed from the norm. And part of my moving out here was because I felt if I stayed back east, and it may have been different if I lived right in the city, but living in a suburb of New York, I felt like I was in this box, and it was so black and white, and it was so structured, and it was like, you are supposed to be this, you are supposed to be that. And I was like, I don't want to be this, and I don't want to be that. And
none of the above.
And I've always kind of taken my own path. And so I think seeing what social media says, my own experience with my own doctors and what they're telling me I shouldn't be doing. I mean, first of all, a doctor ever saying you shouldn't is, I don't think, is really appropriate.
Yeah.
And putting me in this box, this like of the general population. And I'm like, I'm not the general population, and many of us are not.
Yeah.
And I feel stronger and more confident and more beautiful than I ever have in my entire life. And I did my first bodybuilding competition at 47.
Wow.
And I strutted on that stage in my little sparkly bikini and my 5-inch heels, and I felt incredible. I felt like I wanted to throw up because I was so nervous. But I also was like, oh my God, look at me.
Yeah.
Look at what I'm doing at 47 years old.
Yeah.
This is freaking cool.
It's incredible, for sure.
Yeah.
You must be so proud of yourself.
I am. And it's taken me a long time to be able to say that and admit it and not feel like somehow that's wrong or guilty or you're not supposed to do that, you know. But yeah, I am proud.
As you should be. And I'm sure many women seeing this interview are going to feel inspired by you, because a lot of women are scared to get bulky, get injured. What would you tell those women?
So I get that question a lot because I'm a strength coach, and so I hear all the time from women, okay, I don't want to lift too much because I don't want to get bulky.
Yeah.
Well, one, I take offense to that because I have worked so hard for 15 years to put on muscle. And we're talking 4 to 6 days in the gym every single week of your life.
Yep.
And it's taken me that long to build the muscle that I have. And so you are not, I can promise
promise you.
promise you, it's not going to happen. Because in addition to the heavy lifting, you have to eat a lot.
Yes.
A lot, like way more than you can imagine.
Yeah,
you
of
have
course.
to eat to put that bulk on. Yeah.
So what would you tell them?
I would say if your goal is not aesthetic, if your goal is more longevity, independence in your older years, quality of life, you need to lift heavy, but you don't have to build a ton of muscle, visible muscle, if you don't want to. You're going to build muscle because you need to. You know, when you hit 35, you start losing muscle. Everybody does. And so as you lose muscle, that's when things like heart disease, cancer, stroke risk, all of that starts to creep up.
Yep.
Osteoporosis, all of it, mental decline, dementia. So you've got to at least maintain your muscle mass.
Yep.
And you can put muscle on. Studies have been coming out where people are putting muscle on in their 90s.
Incredible. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? What's stopping
and
you?
what's wrong with having muscle? That's the other question I ask, is it's so attractive.
I think we're still coming out of this toxic era of being skinny and muscle being this taboo thing, like an Arnold Schwarzenegger, only reserved for certain people who are like circusy, like freaks, you know? But it's taken time for it to come into our society as like something that's natural, something that's healthy, something that's needed in order for longevity. And like you said, dementia, even mental health. And I would like you to speak to that. You know, like a lot of us join powerlifting for the physical nature of it, but find out that there's a mental aspect. And for me and a couple of other women that I've interviewed, they've felt stronger mentally from strength training, and it's resulted in their whole life just getting more confident in their relationships, their emotional strength. What would you say, what kind of effects has it have on you?
It's had huge effects, very similar to the other women that you've interviewed. I have definitely had a shift in my own self-esteem, how I feel about myself, my confidence. I could show an air of confidence, almost like I was acting. I was good at that, but on the inside, I didn't believe it. And that would come out in relationships and create challenges in my relationships, both friendships and, you know, with partners, because I was so insecure and didn't feel good about myself. I didn't know what to do with that or how to manage that, and so it came out in really icky ways. And through strength training and through the body transformation, because I geek out on. I just am fascinated in how we can change our physique through diet and through exercise. And so when I started back in CrossFit and seeing the progress and what I couldn't do in the beginning and what I could do, you know, even a year into it, it really changed something in me that I can do these things, I can do hard things, I can get better, and it's exciting. It's such an amazing high when you beat your last time, or you beat your last weight, or you beat however many reps you did, or you finally learn how to do a kipping pull-up, you know, things like that. It's so, you feel so accomplished, and overall you just feel strong, you feel powerful, you feel empowered. And it's made such a huge difference. And sure, I still have insecurities. Sure, there's things I'd like to change about how I look or my body or whatever. But I also love my body now, love how I look in clothes. And even at almost 54 years old, I have no problem lifting in a sports bra and little shorts and feeling good about it.
Yeah, you look great.
Thank you.
For sure, you look
Thank
amazing.
you.
What kind of advice would you give your younger self now that you have all of this life experience and wisdom? What would you say to yourself?
I would say, stop being so afraid of what other people think of you.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Like I
very
look at pictures from my 20s and my 30s, and I was little, and I thought I was like overweight and big and gross. And I look at these pictures and I'm like, what was wrong with me? I was small and had a nice figure, and I didn't see it and I didn't believe it. And, you know, I weigh 20 pounds more than I did when I was in college. And I thought in college that I was huge.
Wow.
And I weigh 20 pounds more now, and I love it.
Is your family athletic at all? Did they influence you in any way?
They're
in
not.
This way? No?
Yeah, they're not.
I was just curious.
Yeah, and that may be part of why, I wasn't pushed into sports and things like that, because my parents didn't really engage. My dad went to the gym. My dad always lifted weights, for fun. And he loved bodybuilding. I guess he and my mom, long before I was born, would go to bodybuilding shows. They loved Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
They would go to see him compete.
Wow. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. I would have too, if I could.
I know.
So a little bit about Vital Force. Our mission is to empower women in strength. So whatever avenue that takes you on, we want to see it. That's something I geek out on. When I look at a woman getting into their zone, whatever that may be, whether it's rugby or lifting or whatever, you see it. You see that moment when they're just in their zone and they're experiencing their own vital force. And I wanted to know, have you thought about what vital force means to you?
Yeah, I think you put it really well. It is kind of this zone that you find yourself in, and the more you're in it when you're doing your sport, the more you carry it with you in other parts of your life when you're not doing your sport, where you feel that force, you feel that empowerment, and that's I think what makes life just so enjoyable.
Yeah.
And it makes you more curious. You're more willing to do things that scare you.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that courage. Yeah. I see it on the platform, and you've been on the platform a couple of times. How many times have you competed?
In powerlifting?
Yes, in powerlifting.
5 times.
5 times.
Yeah.
Okay. And what are your achievements? I know you have some. I don't want to say them for you.
I haven't checked in a minute, but as far as I know, I hold all of the Oregon state records, squat, bench, deadlift, and total for age 50 to 54 in the 60 kilogram weight class.
Amazing. Amazing.
And also the world record for deadlift.
Yes, I remember that. Where was that? What competition was that?
That was in St. Louis.
Okay, yeah, so I was there with you on that one. I knew you had a world record, and I couldn't remember if it was squat or deadlift.
It was deadlift.
What did you deadlift?
320 pounds.
Oh my gosh! And that was conventional.
That was conventional.
Conventional girl. Yeah.
Every single woman has this inside of them. I really believe that. When I started my personal training business, that was kind of my pitch. My initial pitch was, we all have this inside of us. And you just have to find what it is that brings it out.
Yep.
And I see it every single day with my athletes, my clients, when they lift a weight they never ever thought was possible for them, and they light up, and they change. They look different now.
Yeah. Yeah.
They totally look different. It's wild, but you feel it. There's an energy that, and I think Vital Force is like everything that you're trying to do and build this community and unleash this vital force. When it happens, you can physically see it. You can feel it. It's amazing.
I tell people that's my drug of choice, because it's so addicting to feel that. I pulled 408 on the platform this last meet, and the feeling I got from that, it's nothing. It's pure primal vital force, and Molly was actually handling me, and I just looked at her and I was like, ah! I was just afterwards, I couldn't contain myself. It was the crazy amount of strength, everybody just clapping for me, getting those 3 white lights, and I couldn't contain it. And that's something that society has sometimes told me is limited for men. Like, they're only allowed to feel that way. They can only be strong and crazy and, beat their chest and stuff. And I'm like, what about me? I want to do that. That's totally me. And this sport has really allowed me to do that. It's allowed me to eat the way I want to. It's allowed me to express my vital force, commune with other women that are like-minded, and like you said, surround yourself with people that you want to be like or inspire you, because that's, if you have goals, that's where you're going to reach them.
Yeah.
What's the saying? If you surround yourself with the five, what is it? The 5 people you surround yourself with are who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you surround yourself if you don't have anyone in your sphere that has unleashed that vital force, it's going to be really difficult for you too.
Yeah.
You need that energy around you. And this I guess world we've grown up in, where women are so like competitive with each other in a very unhealthy way.
Toxic.
Very toxic. And the comparison, that's not what this is about at all. Like,
No.
we need to get away from that.
Yeah.
You should be excited for women that are succeeding and doing things that no woman has ever done before. Like, we should be celebrating that. Not feeling bad about ourselves.
Right.
We should be excited.
Yeah. And hell yeah, it gets competitive up there. Sometimes you're pulling to win. But for me, it's like, may the best athlete win.
Yeah.
And if somebody beats me, I'm going to go shake their hand and say, great effing job. I'm coming for you.
Exactly.
But the best athlete won today.
Yeah. I look to see who I'm competing against in nationals next year.
Yep.
And I'm watching.
Nice.
Because I'm like, okay, I have I have people to chase.
Yeah.
And that pushes me to work so much harder, and it's exciting to me. Very exciting to me that I have that competition. And I actually got really excited about switching federations because I had no competition in the last federation. Zero.
Are you going to PLA? Okay.
No, to PA, Powerlifting America.
Powerlifting America.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I am in now too. I just did my first one.
Yeah.
You're going to nationals as well?
Yeah, I'm doing the December meet to qualify for the age division nationals next year.
Yeah, it's amazing. Ironside, check it out, is the gym that we train at, and we're just so used to training around the best people in the nation, and our gym, a lot of members at our gym have decided to move on to Powerlifting America because it's a more competitive federation, and why not? That's the mentality we have, is why not push ourselves to be the most competitive we can be, and that's where the best of the best are.
I step into that gym, and the second I start warming up, everything changes. I am able to focus and stop the noise in my head for that 2 hours and get the job done, and I'll walk out of there feeling 1,000 times better. So they've done a lot of studies where they've hooked things up to your brain to see what happens, and the areas of the brain that light up from heavy lifting and focusing, you have to be focused on what you're doing. It creates this euphoria in your brain, in your body, and it continues even when you're done training. It still continues for another couple hours.
Yeah.
And so you feel so much better.
Yes.
And I've talked to countless people who really truly believe powerlifting has saved their life because of severe depression, anxiety, addiction, and it's powerlifting that brought them out of that. And I 100% believe that.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, that's incredible. Thank you so much for coming. It's been a joy to learn more about you and to pick your brain on some things. Please go check out Heather Campbell. We'll post her Instagram to this link. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Luna.
Take care.